Hello all and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you the 10 key takeaways that I got from George Kamel's new book, which is called Breaking Free from Broke. Now, I was really excited to read this book because if you don't know who George Kamel is, he's a YouTube influencer, but he's better known for working alongside Dave Ramsey on The Ramsey Show. And guys, I really need you to stick around for the 5th key takeaway. This is something I didn't know, and trust me, you will find this really interesting. And the first key takeaway that I got from the book, and of course, if you work for Dave Ramsey, you have to say this, which is credit cards are evil. Now, okay, we both know credit cards are not evil, but they can be. If you're carrying a full balance in the end of the month and you're not able to pay it off fully, you are someone who shouldn't really have credit cards. Now, George Kamel in the book is doing it in a very entertaining way and is trying to let you know that credit cards are not your best friend. But you need to understand, guys, if you are listening to Dave Ramsey, he does not deviate from nothing. If he says credit cards are evil, he is not gonna back down. He is stubborn. And it seems like whoever works for him has to practice what they preach. The key takeaway I got is you do not need to get a mortgage without having a credit score. You see, George Kamel and even Dave Ramsey himself have no credit score. You're probably imagining, how can you get no credit score? Well, it's quite simple. If you pay off all your debt, you close out all your accounts, well, there's nothing to report. Now, someone like myself, I will find this a huge disadvantage to try to get a car loan, try to get a home. Credit scores are reliant on so many things throughout our life. And also getting a mortgage, you can get that with manual underwriting. But there are a few companies out there that do the manual underwriting, and George and Dave Ramsey himself, they preach that. Me, personally, just have a credit score. I don't want to deal with all that. It seems extremely complicated. You gotta have all these documents in place. It's not necessary. Just be responsible with credit. Pay the balance off the end of the month completely. You're good to go. None of this hassle. The third key takeaway that I got is people are starting to deviate a lot from credit cards and starting to use this buy now, pay later like Afterpay and Affirm. Now, although they sound great at first, right? I mean, you're paying 4 payments bi-weekly, very small, no interest. It depends on the amount. Usually, if it's under $600, you're not paying any interest, and that's it. It's done. You don't have to deal with having a credit card and playing that credit card game. It sounds great, but there's consequences with this as well. The main thing is making it a lot frictionless for you to make purchases and to think about the fact of you can make these bi-weekly payments a lot easier when really you probably never needed that thing that you wanted to get. Or better yet, you had the money for it, but you want to hold on to it and you rather get debt in order to buy it. In the book, he explained that a lot of these companies also go to all these merchants and let them know, because they have statistics and they have facts to back this up, that there's a higher probability that people will shop at these merchants if they offer the buy now, pay later. And it's quite successful. The fourth takeaway that I got from the book is you should not base your decisions on discounts. Now, this one right here, guys, drives me insane. Every time I go shopping with my wife, oh, look, it's on sale. Oh, look, it's on sale. I hate that word, that's on sale, because everything is always on sale. You could mark the price up and then put it down and say it's a sale price, and people will go crazy over it. By the way, that reminds me of a story. You see, a few years back, JCPenney had a new CEO, and he thought it was ridiculous that you mark up the price and then you say 80-70% off, and people are going ballistic. Throughout the whole store, everything's on sale, everything's 80% off. So he had a genius idea. Rather than saying it's on sale, just say it's 80% off, that's the regular price, and that's it. The outlash that this man got and the hate that he got from changing that price was massive. You see, a lot of people shop at JCPenney because they have the illusion that they're getting a deep sale, but they're not. So that proves that people are extremely driven by buying stuff that's on discount. But guys, it's not on sale, it's not a discount. As I always tell my dad, and he laughs at this all the time, there's no such thing as a BOGO, buy one, get one free. It's basically one item being sold for 50% off, and they want to get rid of it, and they know you will buy it if they say it's buy one, get one free. But each item is 50% off. That's it. The fifth takeaway that I got from this book, and this one's really interesting, is about leases. Now, Dave Ramsey always says you get fleeced with a lease. He has some term that he says about leases. I never in my life personally owned a lease. I do not understand why I would get a lease. It does sound great though, don't get me wrong, to get yourself a nice, good luxury vehicle, pay a small amount of money, and that's it. and a lot of people think they're getting a better deal than financing, but I learned quickly you're not. I'm not gonna bore you and break it down to exactly how a monthly lease payment is determined. I'm gonna make a video on that. I'm gonna give a lot of details, so subscribe to this channel. It's gonna come out soon and you get to watch it. The thing about leases that was fascinating is they don't have to disclose what an interest rate is. And I learned that from the book, because when you get a lease, you're not financing. And if you're financing, there's a lot of rules in place. And one of them, the main one, is the interest rate needs to be disclosed and it needs to be clear. Well, since a lease is not financing, they don't need to disclose that. What makes matters even worse is they don't use interest rates. Now, they do pull your credit report and they find out where you lie within the interest rate, but they have a tricky way of doing it. What they do is they get your interest rate and they divide it by 2,400. How that number came about, I don't know. And it comes down to something they call a money factor. What a money factor is your rate divided by 2,400, and it's broken down to decimals. I've seen instances when it's like 0.000125, and if you see that, you have no idea what your rate is, because you're most likely just looking about how much money you're gonna pay for this lease, and that's it. So guys, if you're gonna get a lease, you gotta do a lot of research. And this video I'm gonna do in the future, I promise you, it will break it down and give you exactly the pros and cons and the things you definitely need to avoid and you need to understand. The sixth takeaway I got is how horrible day trading is. Now, the thing I love about George Kamel's book is he breaks things down a lot with statistics. And what he revealed was 97% of the people that do day trading within 300 days lose. So why you want to play a game where you might win in that 3%? Personally, me, I'd rather put money in a mutual fund or an ETF where my chances of winning are a lot higher, because I have multiple companies with great funds that give me great returns, and I will be diversified. Your time is better spent hanging out with friends, doing things you really enjoy, rather than sitting in your computer, buying something at 9 o'clock in the morning and then selling it at 10 and continuing that process throughout the day. It's so much work, and guys, it's not necessary. The 7 key takeaway I got from this book is debt snowball versus the avalanche. And here we go with the whole how you pay off all your debt. Now, of course, in this book, since George Kamel follows Dave Ramsey, he's all about the debt snowball. If you don't know what the debt snowball is, guys, it's essentially getting the smallest balance of all your credit card bills, of all your debt, to be quite honest. And you pay the smallest, and that amount that you're paying, the minimum, and the extra you're putting in, you take it and move it on to the next. This allows you to get small wins and to build momentum. Now, if you're someone that needs quick wins, that's the best route. But in the long run, you are going to be paying more in interest. That is where the avalanche comes in. In the avalanche, you pay the cards that have the highest interest rate off first. That's the best approach, but not everyone has a discipline for it. And listen, this is Dave Ramsey's principles. If he says use that snowball, it's best to follow that principle. If you do not agree with it, you can deviate from it. But the thing is, you need to understand there's 2 ways to do this. And you can determine that on your own. If you're good with money and you're disciplined and you don't want to pay a lot of interest, and as I said, you have money, but you just don't know how to pay things off, of course use Avalanche. But if you're tight with money, you're struggling, you want to get quick wins, use Debt Snowball. The 8th key takeaway that I got is term life insurance. Now, I'm not an insurance agent, but this is the first thing that I did once I started following Dave Ramsey, is get term life insurance, and this is why. You see, if you're living paycheck to paycheck or you're trying to pay off debt, term life insurance is important, especially if you're married and you have kids and there's people who depend on your paycheck. You see, if you die, how in the world is your partner going to be able to handle all these bills? You need to do the most responsible thing, which is getting term life insurance. And listen, guys, it's extremely cheap. I have $1 million policy for 15 years and I'm only paying $17 a month. That means if I die, my house, my car, the little student loan that I have, my kids' education, all of that will be taken care of. But this is the key, guys. This is not a get rich type of scheme. This is stuff that I'm going to do anyway. I just haven't gotten to a point to fully fund it. So now I know that was my goal. So if I die, that will continue and they will not have any problems. Yeah, they gotta live life without me, but at least I know they're taken care of. And the 9th key takeaway that I got is the system is broken. Now, what do I mean by the system is broken? Let me explain this to you. In high school, they don't teach you anything about personal finance. They're just trying to teach you to get good grades, prop those grades up in order for you to go to a great college. And then that way the high school graduation rate looks very high in this high school. That way they get more funds and they want to just push you out, and they're not teaching you things that are valuable in life. Think about it. As soon as you got a job, you don't know how to file taxes, you don't know how to budget, you don't know how to do your insurance, you know how to do anything. But yeah, you learn calculus, which is something you're not going to use outside in the real world. And then you're being told you need to go to college, you need to go to a great college to get a great education, to get a job, and to get a house. There's so many things. Now, granted, that is one path, and it's a pretty good path. A dangerous path depending upon which college you choose, but it is a good path. But the issue with that and why the system is broken is that is not the only way to success. There's so many people who got success in life with not going to college. Either they became a plumber, they started their own business. There's so many things that they did besides college. There's multiple avenues and there's multiple things that you could do. So my advice, and he explained in the book as well, is understand there's multiple avenues for you to get money, to get prosperity, to get rich, to get happiness, whatever it is that you want to do in your life. You do not necessarily just need to go to college and pay 30 grand a year. And let's be quite honest, most people do it just for the experience. They don't do it for education, they do it for the experience, when you could take that same $30,000 and go to Italy and have yourself a great real life experience over there, rather than wasting your money just drinking beer and just sitting in campus doing nothing. And the 10 key takeaway that I got from this book, and this is the one that really bothers me the most, is I really hate the fact that anyone who works under Dave Ramsey has to say exactly what he says. George Kamel is a very funny and very entertaining guy. I've been following Dave Ramsey for a bit, and his program has strictly been on podcasts or on the radio, and that's usually what I heard. Now he is on YouTube, but George Kamel has his own YouTube channel, which is very entertaining, very hip. It's actually following a lot of the trends that are going on right now. So to me, George Kamel could be very successful on his own if he can say what he wants. I feel like he is not. Let me give you an example. There was a time that he was talking about taking a safe withdrawal rate from your retirement account, and he said 4%. Well, a caller called the Dave Ramsey Show and told him exactly what George Kamel said, talking about the 4% withdrawal rate. He wasn't snitching, y'all. He was just talking about how that advice was good, sound advice, and he wanted to know what Dave thought about it. Well, if you guys don't know, Dave's safe withdrawal rate is 10 to 12%. Everyone out there in the finance world thinks that's an insanely high withdrawal rate, very dangerous, but Dave Ramsey believes that's the rate that you should take. He ripped up George Kamel. It was quite embarrassing. George Kamel went back on air. It was as if nothing ever happened. And to me, that bothered me, because you can be your own individual. You don't need to follow someone else's principle. You can deviate a bit. I'm not saying you have to just trash Dave Ramsey, because listen, the man works there. That's the rules. He has to follow it. So I get it, but it's just unfortunate because I really think he'll be good on his own. Well, guys, there you have it. That's my 10 key takeaways of this book, which I found very entertaining. I think you all should read it. I really think that you'll get so much great value from this book. If you have anything about those 10 key takeaways, or you want to add some yourself, or maybe you read this book, drop a comment down below and let me know about it. Catch you guys on the next video. Peace.